Daybreak Africa is your one-stop top-notch breakfast show that brings you all the interesting stories happening in and around Africa.
Because it's news, sports, weather, and events.
And of course, the people.
Daybreak Africa on Television Nigerian.
Weekdays, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Good morning. It's the 20th of the month of May, and today is Wednesday.
True.
Yeah, today is Crush Wednesday.
So, guys, many thanks for joining us.
Okay. A fast one this morning. Lawmakers questioned the Minister of Health for the whereabouts of the 15 Chinese doctors that were sent to Nigeria.
Yeah, like we were discussing off air before we came on set that for the main opposition party, People's Democratic Party, to come to talk about the whereabouts or ask for the whereabouts of them, it's not out of place. Like we said yesterday, that it is very okay for Nigerians to know what's happening in their country.
Yes, it's our right. We have to know what's going on. Representatives demanded an answer as well, because they also don't know the whereabouts or what the Chinese are actually doing. And he replied them that they are not guests of the federal ministry or the federal government, that they are guests
from other countries to practice medicine in Nigeria.
Yes.
And they were looking at it, so
construction sites in the FCT.
To a large extent, if it's coming from that angle, Nigerians would
as doctors.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay, as doctors.
Construction, yes, as doctors.
So many intrigues there, and it's not really adding up.
Yes, because I think the first in the fight of the pandemic.
Yeah. So
now we're hearing construction doctors.
Let's talk about the COVID, the coronavirus figures that came out yesterday from NCDC.
226 new cases yesterday from the NCDC recorded. We now have a total of 6,401 cases in Nigeria. 1,000, however, recoveries, 1,734 recoveries.
So, the statistics in terms of percentage this time it was before
97
to
3%. Lagos is top in the chat. Lagos topped the chat with 131 new cases recorded from Lagos alone. Ogun State recorded 25 new cases and 15 new cases in Plateau and 11 in Edo State. We were talking about sanitizers. The Minister of Health, Osage, is saying that not all sanitizers are up to standard.
I was sharing with you who is actually learned in that field, came to the office the other day, and he was trying to lecture us on that when he said the dominant ingredient ingredient in the sanitizer is supposed to be ethanol, but like he is not seeing that, so that's not to be disputed.
Yeah, he mentioned that for you to understand the standard of a sanitizer, you have to look out for the NAFDAC registration number, and you also have to look at the composition, the ingredients, the alcohol, the ethanol. At what percent is in there? Because you see sanitizers these days, you're mostly feeling the gel rather than even the ethanol. At that point, you feel like you're just rubbing hand cream.
True. Still talking about cases regarding COVID-19, still coming from the health minister. He was talking about how worrisome it is that out of the death that's been recorded, apart from most of them being the early ones or complications from other illnesses, they are coming from people who are learning, more like the elite. And largely regarding it to self-medication, that most people tend to self-medicate when they come up with symptoms, and it's trying to dissuade people from going into that.
And I think it's because they're not getting tested. Medications in their homes, not understanding that they're actually COVID-19, and still giving their family members risk of contracting this virus because they are not even aware that it was actually the virus that they have contracted. Well, we have Susan with us this morning. Good morning, Susan.
Good morning, Mercy.
I'm sure you have lots of news for us this morning.
Of course I do.
I can't wait to fit my ear to your news.
Yes.
Just give us insight into what we expect.
Take us there.
I was going to say, I'll just go straight. But anyways, there are a lot of concerns arising. A lot of people have been saying the Vice President has been silent, during this pandemic, but we can see that in recent times he has been coming up. I mean, a few things, and he has something for us this morning. We also have some news from the business world as well as on the entertainment scene.
Okay.
All right, so we'll now move into the news desk for more details. Good morning and welcome to AM News. I am Susan Achin. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control has confirmed 226 new cases of the novel coronavirus in the country, bringing the total number of cases to 6,401. Of the new cases recorded, Lagos State was leading with 131 new cases, while several other states followed with fewer numbers of cases. So far, 1,734 cases have been discharged, while 192 have died. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has approved the presentation of the draft legislative instrument to enact the Health Sector Reform Bill to President Muhammadu Buhari and the Federal Executive Council. The approval was given at the second meeting of the National Council on Privatization chaired by the Vice President at the Presidential Villa in Abuja on Tuesday. When adopted, the reforms will ensure that millions of Nigerians who are presently unable to afford efficient healthcare services can now have access. Addressing journalists after the meeting, the Director General of the Bureau of Public Enterprises said that the COVID-19 pandemic has exposed a lot of the wrongs in Nigeria's health sector, and these reforms seek to right those wrongs. Now, the Minister of Interior, Ralph Aragbeshola, on Tuesday revealed the mission and activities so far carried out by 15 Chinese experts who came into Nigeria to support the fight against COVID-19. Aragbeshola, while responding to journalists at the Presidential Task Force briefing on COVID-19, said the experts are in Nigeria on the bill of China's Civil Engineering Construction Corporation, CCECC, to assist in building and equipping isolation centers. The Minister of Health, Osage Hanire, on Tuesday said a study carried out by a research institution in the Federal Ministry of Health revealed that not all sanitizers in circulation are up to standard. Ehanire said this while addressing journalists at the Presidential Task Force briefing on COVID-19 in Abuja. He also gave an advisory on identifying standard sanitizers in the market, stressing the importance of checking the NAFDAC number and ingredients used in producing the sanitizer. Now, Lagos State Ministry of Information and Strategy has embarked on advocacy to different locations across the metropolis to sensitize residents on the importance of face mask usage as part of efforts to cope the community transmission of the COVID-19 in the state. Speaking during the exercise tagged Mask Up Lagos, an assistant director and leader of the team, Mr. Bodilawal, said the advocacy was geared towards encouraging all residents of the state on the need to support the efforts of the state government to curb the spread of the global pandemic by using face masks. Similarly, the Inspector General of Police has rescinded an order restricting the movement of essential workers amid the COVID-19 lockdown. Earlier on Tuesday, it was reported that essential workers were restricted from moving within Lagos at the beginning of the 8 p.m. curfew imposed to limit the spread of the COVID-19 virus. According to security officials enforcing the order, health workers and journalists could not be allowed to move around after 8 p.m. However, in a statement late Tuesday, Inspector General of Police Mohammed Adamu said essential workers can now go about their essential duties. And some sad news coming from Yobe State, where the governor, Mai Mala Buni, has received with shock the death of the state chief judge, Justice Garba Nabaruma, who died yesterday at the National Hospital, Abuja. The governor described the death of the late chief judge as a huge loss to the family, the judiciary, the state, and the country. He said that the Chief Judge will be remembered for his enormous contributions to the development of the judiciary in Yobe State and Nigeria. Late Nabaroma took office as the State Chief Judge in 2011 and was the third Chief Judge of the state. Meanwhile, there is some good news as a 22-year-old patient has given birth to twins at the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, Luth. The patient gave birth to a boy and a girl on Tuesday, bringing the total number of COVID-19 births in the hospital to 4. The hospital confirmed the birth of the twins in a statement posted on its Twitter handle. Now, in the world of business, manufacturing and production firms have witnessed a sharp rise in purchasing costs due to difficulties in securing materials, leading to higher output prices and rise in inflation. This is contained in the Stanbic IBTC Bank's Nigeria PMI route for April 2020. According to the report, new orders, output and employment witnessed sharp falls as prices rise in supply chain disruption, especially in the private sector. And on the entertainment scene, Nigerian music icon Lagbaja was being celebrated yesterday by Nigerians on social media on the occasion of his 60th birthday ceremony, with many flooding the social media pages to wish the music icon a happy celebration. Interestingly, among those who took out time to celebrate Lagbaja is former Nigerian Vice President and presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar, who wished the singer a happy celebration while noting that Lagbaja had been ahead of the rest of the world long ago due to his signature style of rocking the face mask and never revealing his face. Well, quite a hilarious one there, and of course, congratulations to the legend. And that's it on AM News. I am Susan Achille.
You need to see the smile on our faces when you were from the vice president.
Yeah, that goes with really good
Yes,
laugh.
and he actually was. He's a prophet.
That's what it means to be a legend. I mean,
True.
He's so ahead.
He's so ahead. 60 years.
60.
Yeah. We wish him
Happy birthday to
birthday.
him in arrears.
Wow, that's
We
a
wish
great
him many
one.
more years.
Congratulations to him.
Filled with prosperity.
Yeah.
Yobe State, losing the chief judge.
Very painful.
Very painful.
Quite a sad one.
Sad one. Our condolences go to the family members.
The state.
In the state as well.
Somehow, I don't know the word to use now, but the fact that certain deaths are occurring at this time, even though they are not related to COVID-19, you know, a lot of high profile individuals and, those at the top, some people, passing away in this time is very sad.
Yes.
And it just happens to clash with the whole pandemic situation, but we hope that we have less of this.
True.
Okay, on the bright side, Stanbic IBTC is reporting that
Manufacturing companies are
Of course.
experiencing rise in purchase.
It's not surprising because right now it's difficult to get, those raw materials and all that.
or import.
Imports, So those that even have it, of course,
They
they'll
will
be
definitely
hiking,
hiking their prices.
So this is one of the positive side of the pandemic we're trying to look at.
Is it positive?
Positive?
Yes, if we can look inward and start manufacturing on our own.
That's something. Because manufacturing companies are actually still exempted. They can still go about manufacturing despite the whole curfews.
Actually, looking at what it would be great, but the fact that certain things have not been our habits before now,
Adaptation still matters.
That's the issues that are rising, but we hopefully will work on this.
That's one of the biggest agenda of the President Muhammad Buhari administration, trying to see that the patronage of local goods and manufacturing is being geared up. So it's a good
one. And the birth of twins in
Lagos State.
Lagos. That's congratulations to the mother on the twins, a boy and a girl.
Yes, and I mean the hospital is recording a lot of
COVID babies. There was this image.
We hope they're not named COVID.
There's this image of.
Let's bring you into this much issue that has been raising much dust concerning the whereabouts of the Chinese men. It was in the news.
Yes, I had Mercy earlier on, sounding really disturbed about the issue. And of course, isn't it disturbing?
It's very disturbing.
Yes. I mean, it's sort of a clash in information, saying that these people are actually here to assist. They're actually a civil engineering company that are here to assist in building isolation centers. And I'm wondering, at this time when the COVID-19, of course, we know it started back there in China, and then can't we do this ourselves? Do we need experts actually to come over to build isolation centers
for us? Have we not already been using them?
From the angle we're looking at it from earlier, that means there's a little linkage or link between the story now, because we're looking at how can medical doctors be doing construction, but here's construction of isolation center. I think it's adding up gradually.
The thing is,
a connection.
There's a connection, but it's not a full connection.
You know, when the enemy was kicking against this, the federal government came out to say they are not here to treat any patient. Yes. They were here to train our people and then tell us how to go about it. Remember that they came with some items that were sent from China.
Yes.
So we're yet to see. We're actually still yet to see the training then. Something is still.
I saw a picture of a couple of them, so maybe we can use that
we see something else.
I've actually seen some isolation center being built over all that time. So
it could be, but not confirmed that it's their work.
All right.
Well, thank you, Susan. All right, we now go across Africa to get some more news.
This is News Across Africa on Daybreak Africa. The Vice President of South Sudan, Riek Machar, who was part of a task force to fight coronavirus, is in self-isolation after testing positive for COVID-19. Mr. Machar said as several other members of the task force were infected, a new team was taking over their work. His wife, who is Defense Minister Angelina Teny, some bodyguards and other staff also have the new infections. So far, South Sudan has recorded 236 cases of COVID-19 and 4 deaths. Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni has said the government will distribute free masks to all citizens aged above 6 years old before lifting coronavirus containment measures. The wearing of masks in public was made mandatory early May. In a televised address on Monday, Mr. Museveni said the distribution of masks will be done in 14 days. Each person will be given 1 mask. Thereafter, shops will be allowed to open, public transport vehicles will be allowed to carry only half their capacity, and food market vendors who have been working and living at their stores will be allowed to go home at the end of each day. However, public transport is still banned in border districts for 21 days. All learning institutions will be allowed to reopen, but only for candidates who are preparing to sit for end-of-year national exams. All other measures, including closure of international borders, a dusk to dawn curfew, and a ban on public gatherings, remain for 21 days. The country has been on lockdown for 48 days. Uganda has registered 260 positive cases of COVID-19 so far. Most of them have been cross-border truck drivers. The eldest son of Rwanda's President Paul Kagame has been appointed to the board of the government agencies that oversees business registration and tourism. Ivan Kagame's appointment to the Rwanda Development Board was announced by the Prime Minister's office on Monday. The board was responsible for the signing of multi-million-dollar sponsorship deal with top European football clubs Arsenal and Paris Saint-Germain to promote tourism in the East African nation. 30-year-old Ivan Kagame is rarely seen in media or social media and has so far avoided dabbling in politics. He holds a business degree from an American university. Meanwhile, Rwanda's cabinet has extended coronavirus containment measures after it partially lifted a nationwide lockdown about 3 weeks ago. Bars, schools, and places of worship will remain closed. A nighttime curfew will now start an hour later at 2100 local time. President Kagame also pardoned 50 young women convicted for abortion, and 3,596 prisoners will be conditionally released. U.S. President Donald Trump has criticized the World Health Organization for not responding strongly to reports of racism and discrimination against Africans living in southern Chinese city of Guangzhou in the wake of the coronavirus outbreak. Mr. Trump has called the WHO health body a puppet of China and has threatened to permanently freeze U.S. funding. He has also repeatedly accused China of failings in its response to the pandemic. In his letter to the WHO chief, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, President Trump accused the body of not commenting on China's racially discriminatory actions despite complaints of forced quarantines, evictions, and refusal of services by African nationals. He was referring to widespread testing of foreign nationals in Guangzhou in mid-April that was marred by claims of Africans being targeted on the basis of their race. Video clips of Africans sleeping on the streets after allegedly being evicted from houses and hotels emerged, with those interviewed saying they were being forced into quarantine. The authorities at the time denied claims of racial profiling, but President Trump has said the WHO should have condemned the racial discriminatory actions. Zimbabwe's Justice Minister has threatened to prosecute 3 female opposition members who alleged they were arrested and then abducted from police custody and sexually assaulted. They say they were beaten and forced to drink each other's urine. The 3, including an MP, are being treated in hospital for their injuries. Justice Minister Ziyambi said the women made up a story to divert attention from the fact that they broke lockdown rules by attending a protest. They should be arrested for violating rules aimed at stopping the spread of the coronavirus, he said. I don't believe the abduction is genuine, Mr. Ziyambi told the BBC. Opposition activists allege that the abduction and torture remains a tactic of the authorities even after the end of presidency of Robert Mugabe, who was overthrown in 2017. Chimbri, who is a youth campaigner with the Opposition Movement for Democratic Change, MDC, has given graphic testimony to the BBC of how she, MP Joanna Mamonde and Nessa Marowa were maltreated over 24 hours by alleged state agents. She said they were stopped at a police checkpoint last Wednesday as they were returning from a small protest march that they had organized in the capital, Harare, over the number of people going hungry during the coronavirus lockdown. Two men in police uniform stepped out from an unmarked car, Ms. Chimbri explained, and told them that they were under arrest for flouting restrictions. And that is the much we have for you on News Across Africa. Daybreak Africa continues shortly with Elvis and Mercy.
Welcome back. That was News Across Africa, still on Daybreak Africa on television Nigeria. We now move over to the newspaper review segment where we have Victor Temba, who is always joining us. Victor, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Elvis. Good morning, Wilson.
Good morning, Neil.
Yes, beautiful morning.
Yeah.
Good morning, not Elvis. Good morning, Victor.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper. How churches, mosques, schools should plan reopening by government. Below that headline, PDP reps knock government over secrecy on Chinese doctors. Below that, Senate asks federal government to suspend electricity tariff increase. Which should we be looking at?
Well, no, we just have to look at the front headline, the major headline.
How
there.
churches,
Yeah,
mosques, schools.
yesterday we talked about this stuff about saying even if you're going to keep worship centers closed, I think schools should have
should be opened
in a systematic way. And I think that is what the government has come out to say, that okay, maybe there are other ways that churches, mosques, and schools can be reopened.
Okay.
There is a template for it that they can adopt and implement.
Yeah.
And they're also looking at the fact that Senate asked government to suspend tariff, electricity tariff. Yes, is basically a very commendable one from the House of Reps member, because people are losing money, and definitely people can be paying high bills on the terms of electricity in this time. And also the this in PDP criticizing the secrecy on the doctors.
Yes.
Even House of Reps too.
Even House of Reps, the lawmakers.
As of yesterday, we had like 3 different versions of exactly the updates about. First of all, the government were like they don't know where they are. Then the MDCCEC came out to say they are with them. Then the government says these visas have expired. And then another report was like they have completed their task in Nigeria. And so we don't really know exactly what is the current or actual
updates about the Chinese.
Okay, let's take a look at headlines from the Nation newspaper. The banner headline here says NAFDAC begins testing of 4 virus remedy drugs. No use spending money on Madagascar cure drug. Chinese claim new drug can stop pandemic without vaccine. Minister, self-treatment cause of many COVID-19 deaths. Above the nameplate, we have prices of bread to go up by 60%. INEC no going back on Edo, Ondo polls. COVID-19 cases in Ibadan, Fen, now 49.
Wow. So let's look at the price of bread going up.
That was it. Caught my attention there.
Yeah, so bread, just like rice and gari, are the major everyday common food for the average Nigerian.
Yes.
Yeah, it just happens to be that I'm not really a fan of bread anyway. So but then I also feel for those people who really have to rely on bread every day for breakfast or whatever reason. Going up by 60%. I think we also have to remember that in Sudan, this also happened. There was also increase in price of bread in that country. So it means that is inflation coming in, showing its face there. And then we also look at the fact that NAFDAC is agreeing that they are testing for new remedies, which is also a very fantastic one. And then China also talking about what we
having a drug.
Yes,
we don't need to wait for
vaccine, all of that.
They have a drug already.
So we'll just see how everything goes.
Okay, let's take a look at the Punch newspaper. The headline, many top Nigerians dying due to COVID-19 home care. That's coming from the federal government. Below that, don't use drugs without doctor's prescriptions, council's minister. Nigeria didn't pay for Madagascar's coronavirus drug, says PTF. Reps tackle health minister over explanation on Chinese doctor. This Chinese doctor's case, lots of people are all papers. People are talking about it, and it's no much justification yet.
No, but perhaps as it goes by, maybe before the week runs out,
we'll get something tangible.
A very comprehensive updates on what they're doing. And it was even the PDP that issued the
2 weeks or 2 months.
Yes, for the government.
Before we start even
48 hours.
Yeah. No, it was 48 hours actually.
Before we actually start hearing more things now.
And then for the fact that many top Nigerians are dying due to COVID-19
home care.
And all of that. And I think that was just one of the reasons why the government were actually coming out to say people should not review those that survived the virus.
Yes.
At the isolation centers should not review the drugs that they take. Maybe perhaps this is one of the reasons so that people don't rely on that information.
Because what worked for them might not work for another.
Yeah, and then you heard the CEO of AIT, the chairman of AIT, when he came out to say they were giving this malaria drug. So somebody else that has the COVID-19 might thought, if it work for those guys, then we can go ahead and buy malaria drugs, which might not.
Yeah, disregarding the whole system and not.
So I think it's a very valid one. It's always best to let these professionals handle cases like the malaria. Yes. Until there is a very straightforward remedy for this drug or vaccine, whatever, that you can go and get.
All right, from the Daily Sun, we have security agencies get tougher on interstate travel ban to arrest violators 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew. And we also have fresh probe in power sector. Trump gives WHO 30-day deadline over COVID-19, threatening to suspend U.S. membership funding permanently. Rep starts federal government to put local production of vaccines rather. Private lab begins testing in Anambra.
So just so much there, but let's just look at the fact that the police trying to now get tougher on in interstate travel.
Yeah.
Now, of course,
even violators of the curfew.
Yes, because if you basically look at it in the first 2 weeks in the first 2 weeks that we had the ease of lockdown.
Yes.
At the point, some people were very particular about keeping to that curfew. They thought it was really going to be enforced, but we know that people really moved about. In fact, easing of the lockdown didn't seem like it was easy. It was more of like
total lifting of the lockdown.
People still travel interstate, although we know that we had interstate travel ban, but people are still coming. So it was more like how were they being moved? And from 2 people I know that moved from one state to another state and all of that, and they say, of course, on the road you're going to find numerous and uncountable checkpoints, but all you have to do is just grease the arms of the police people there, and then they just let you pass. So it's more like it wasn't being enforced. So now the police coming out to say they're going to get this stuff on it. We have, I think now they're also realizing that maybe when they begin to play their own part, then we might begin to defeat this thing gradually.
Recall that the Senate actually gave the IGP marching order on this case last week, and then yesterday it was reported that he held the first virtual meeting with some force managers on how to get tough with this particular.
Yes, I think definitely that is where it ought to go. When something is not working in any department of security, I think the person you need to hold responsible are actually the bosses, the heads in charge of that. And I think when these people begin to suffer punishment for these lapses, then you see that the whole system will rejig and then be working. Because I think what basically happens is like since this punishment, less and detriment don't get to the top bosses because of their positions, they don't really take it serious to make sure that they see to these things work. Yeah. So now giving this marching orders to the IGP now knows that something has to go on.
Okay, so we hope for a better result at the end of the day then. This day newspaper, police embark on strict enforcement of curfew interstate travel ban. We just discussed about that. 226 new cases, push total to 6,175 cases with 1,734 discharges in Nigeria.
Well, I basically don't know what to say, but then that's actually good that we are having people recover. But I'm always very worried about those dying, because not that I do not expect anybody to die from the virus, but at the rate at which
the death,
yes,
192 deaths already in the country.
It's just too alarming for me.
And the head minister came out and he was talking about the large chunk of death recorded from COVID-19 happens to be from educated people and some elite kind of, and he was linking that to self-medication, which you talked about earlier on.
So basically, when you now look at it, when you look at the fact that these, like you said, they are top Nigerians, top people, rich people, educated people, and all of that, and so much so good, even with the ordinary citizens that we are not in government. Now, in the first place, government officials themselves do not trust in our own public healthcare. So normal citizens also do not really trust that they will be less than taken care of very well wherever they might want to go to any isolation center. So it's also a reason to go to less than to self-medicate. And as well, you also look at perhaps these are well-educated people that do some certain readings, wherever, research, and then they thought that they could do a lot of these things by themselves and work. But at the same time, we can't really conclude that maybe their death was as a result of self-medication. It might also be that wherever, even if they were in the isolation center and with whatever treatment they were being given, it might also result. And then you also understand that when you have this virus and then you have other health complications already, then it only aggravates the whole situation that you might likely not recover from it. And so perhaps this might also be the case of these people that we're actually referring to.
The self-medication can just serve as probably a warning from the Minister of Health that people should disregard desist from self-medication.
Okay, let's take a look at headlines from Daily Times. Senate probes 1.532 trillion naira power sector intervention, wants privatization of sector revoked if constant electricity can't be guaranteed, seeks suspension of planned tariff increase scheduled to take effect from July 1st. A whole lot about the power sector there.
Now, that power sector, we don't know exactly. It's like a mighty well that never gets filled up. Money keeps get be poured in and out, and then this is 1.9 trillion. We're at a point in time we had 16 billion, and I think that should be some time in the early between 1999 and 2003. We had about 16 billion dollars put into, and that was just all. More money keep pouring in, and then we had to privatize to make sure private sector. But then again, the way the whole privatization was done was good about really left much more to be desired. And I'm not even looking at the processes. Okay, it even has to do with these processes that led to the final bidding and the acceptance of the whole bid, because most of the people who bought, like the discos company who bought a license to distribute power, basically even lack the capacity to distribute power. So what we have is you find that we basically generate around 5,000 to 6,000 megawatts of electricity in Nigeria, but then what we consume is just a little below 4,000 megawatts. So what happens to the rest? They are being stored somewhere. So the GENCOs really have a problem storing power that are not being used because the discos lack the capacity to distribute these powers enough, and exactly they are not basically distributing enough. So that's the problem. I think maybe this is the reason where the Senate are looking at and saying, okay, maybe we should revoke this. I was actually I was actually of an opinion that if the discos don't have the capacity, why in the first place will you give them the license to distribute power? So if they don't have that resources, maybe perhaps if government, of course, government have actually intervened earlier on by giving more funding to make sure you have the enough capacity, but then it hasn't really solved the problem. Perhaps it can be revoked, let government handle it. Government has the money. Government has unending money. That is why people keep stealing government money regardless.
Okay, let's move to the Business Day newspaper. Federal government asks businesses, schools, others to adopt new strategies ahead of reopening. I think we discussed about that in the Nigerian employers in grilling battle to keep staff as COVID-19 pressure mounts.
Definitely, this is
Very
just
expected.
one let's not consistent factor that has been with the COVID-19 situation, pandemic. People struggling to really stay afloat. Of course, even despite this, there are other businesses that don't seem to be affected even one bit by the whole COVID-19.
Pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, all of those stuff. So, but then we basically understand that companies are really running at loss at this point, and then some are really struggling to keep. Some people don't just lay off staff. Not that they can't or whatever, but you need, for the sake of your company to even stay afloat, you need to keep your staff. Then the problem begins to, how do you pay your staff? If you lay off your staff, then your organization is also going to be grounded, because you need people to work there, but then the money isn't coming, and then that is actually a problem. So they are not caught in a dilemma. So it's the reason why they say that in a grueling battle to keep staff.
I actually saw a report from some state governors actually cutting salaries of their appointees or people in their cabinet as well.
Because government revenue has drastically dropped.
Okay.
And I think that it's a method that almost every sector, every organization, whether government or private, that they want to adopt, even those that do not have the need to capitalize, because every business they are about maximizing profit. When you give when you look at an average business, they want to make the most profit at a very little cost on their own part. So definitely there are those that are going to adopt that strategy as well, to cut salaries and well, some people might still take it because they will look like it is better than doing nothing
at all. Thank you, Victor Temba, for joining us this morning on the newspaper review.
Victor, it's always a pleasure to have you.
Hope to see you again.
Definitely.
Okay, this is still Daybreak Africa here on Television Nigeria. Let's go to the health desk and see what they have for us.
To another episode of Healthy Living. Today's topic is cholera. Cholera is a bacterial disease usually spread through contaminated water. Cholera causes severe diarrhea and dehydration. Symptoms of cholera infection may include a rapid onset of copious, smelly diarrhea, vomiting, wrinkled skin, low blood pressure, and dry mouth. Diarrhea, which is the first one. Cholera-related diarrhea comes on suddenly and may quickly cause dangerous fluid loss, as much as about 1 liter an hour. Diarrhea due to cholera often has a pale, milky appearance that resembles water in which rice has been rinsed. Rice water stew. Nausea and vomiting is the second one, occurring especially in the early stage of cholera. Vomiting may persist for hours at a time. Dehydration, which is the third one. Dehydration can develop within hours after the onset of cholera symptoms, depending on how many the body fluids have been lost. Dehydration can range from mild to severe. A loss of 10% or more of total body weight indicates severe dehydration. Signs and symptoms of cholera. Dehydration include irritability, sun, keen eyes, a dry mouth, extreme thirst, dry and straight skin that slows to bounce back when pinched into a fold, little or no urine output, low blood pressure, and irregular heartbeats. Dehydration may lead to a rapid loss of minerals in your blood that maintain the balance of fluid in your body. This is called an electrolyte imbalance. Causes of cholera: contaminated water supplies, uncooked fruits, dirty vegetables, and other foods can also contain the bacteria that causes cholera. How to prevent cholera? Avoid dirty foods, Cook food well, especially seafood. Keep it covered, eat it hot, and peel fruits and vegetables. Drink and use safe and clean water. Use latrines, do not defecate on the ground. Wash your hands often with soap and safe water. Treatment for cholera. The main treatment for cholera is fluid and electrolyte replacement, both oral and IV. Antibiotics usually are used in severe infections in which dehydration has been occurred. Anyone who has been in a high-risk region within the previous 5 days and developed severe vomiting and diarrhea should seek urgent medical assessment. Although cholera can be life-threatening, it is easily treated by immediate rehydration, that is replacement of fluid and salt loss through diarrhea. Oral rehydration fluid is recommended. This can be obtained from pharmacies. Patients with severe dehydration or who are unable to keep oral fluid down require hospitalization and intravenous fluid replacements. Antibiotics shorten the duration of illness and lessen the severity, but they are not as important as rehydration. Thank you for watching today's episode. Remember, not all sicknesses are being cured by medicines. Some of them just need a happy soul, happy mind, and laughter. So always be happy.
That was the package from our help desk that talked on causes of ulcer.
Yeah, causes of ulcer. So, we'll soon be leaving.
Yeah, very, very soon.
Very soon.
Like, almost. Let me just gather my papers.
What do you think causes breakup in marriages? Why marriages fail?
I think the core thing that I could talk about, even though I'm not much experienced, but lack of communication,
yes,
lack of understanding. Those two key things.
Exactly.
If they are lacking in marriages.
Yeah, communication and understanding. So I think we should work on that, and people should attend marriage seminars more often before actually getting married.
True.
So that's much we can take today on the program. This has been Daybreak Africa here on Television Nigerian. My name is Mercy Joe.
And my name is Elvis Oga. Join us tomorrow, same time, same station, as we leave you with the package on street creed of causes of broken homes.
A woman will go to the outside and go and be looking outside men and be sleeping with men, collecting money from them. And if he come back, when your husband asks him, where do you go? He will say, my friend, you don't have much to talk with me because you don't have the money.
When you claim that there should be gender parity or equality in a marriage and you still want the man to be feeding you, is that not a conflict of thoughts? You say we are equal in the marriage and you still want me to be feeding you.
Most especially argument. Yes, when I talk you replied, when I talk you replied. Any home that did not have God, that home can never stand. Even business, even anything.
You rule your own environment at your own time and you want to extend the same rule to your children and grandchildren, which is not supposed to.
What do you think that causes separation in marriage? You have too many broken homes here and there in Nigeria. What do you think is the reason?
And the reason is the situation in the world now is very bad, to my own understanding. So many broken house, some caused by enemy, some caused by lack of understanding, different type, some caused lack of God in their midst, lack of prayer. Because once God have joined together, no one have any right to put an asunder. So everything in our life, God is the first. So that is my own understanding. Any home that did not have God, that home can never stand. Even business, even anything, without God, that will never stand as a normal the way it's supposed to be.
Lack of sincerity. That is the cause. Both the man and the woman supposed to be truthful in whatever they are doing.
There are a lot of social factors that are responsible for that. Sometimes cultural differences. You see people coming from different backgrounds coming to meet and deciding to stay together as couples. It's not as easy as we paint it, you know. It entails a lot of things. It is very, very promising when people are coming to marriages, but when they get there, the realities stare them in the face. And again, when you look at economic pressure, it is not easy, you know. A lot of demands on partners in relationships. I mean, men, and the woman too, you see. When you are single, you go to places, enjoy, take shops, ice cream and drinks and whatever. But now there are children, you know, the pressure mounts. So this can lead to broken home. The pressure can be unbearable for either of the partners, but mostly men can abandon the wife and the kids, you see. So what is another economic factors? There is so much pressure on the man, you know. The man is under pressure. African mentality, as far as women are concerned, is the men should foot the bills, and shouldn't be like that in other parts of the world. You know, when you claim that there should be gender parity or equality in a marriage, and you still want the man to be feeding you, is that not a conflict of thoughts? You say we are equal in a marriage, and you still want me to be feeding you. You see? So men get to a level that they don't get excited, and they say, "Man, let me have my freedom." That is what men look for. Separation. The rat race now, people are struggling to live imitation of fake life. People want to be like others, want to be like Beyonce, want to wear what Oprah is wearing and stuff like that, you know, Gucci bag and all those things. That is mostly on women's side. They want to live above their means, and you cannot live within what your husband is giving you. So in that case, you cheat on your man. And in Africa, once a woman cheats on the man, it is almost a taboo. But in other parts of the world, it's not a taboo, you see? So all those are the factors. And the young ones that are coming again, they are competing with the women in the homes. If you look at the statistics now, population statistics, women are more than men. If you go to hospital now, they give birth to 10 kids today. 7 can be girls, while 3 be boys. So there is competition. Women are competing with themselves over the few men who have the means. Once a woman is getting to 50 now, the husband will look at that as an abandoned property and go and pick a small girl. That is 2021, isn't it? And that girl is ready to marry because the man has the means. Before, young men like you are the people that will marry. The people that was pride in marriage because the men were getting the jobs. They could marry fellow young people and live happily forever. But now it's not like that. It's the big men, the politicians, the contractors, the chiefs, the alagis, the igwes, the otomas. They are the people who pick those girls. Some of them marry those girls. And